Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to episode 4 of the RBNY UK podcast. We are back as the almighty trio for the first time in what seems like a while. I am joined by both Luke Hume and return of the Mac, the Big Daddy, the guy himself, Mr. RBNY UK, Ronnie Piper. Good evening, both.
Evening.
Hello.
Is it evening? At 6:13.
I don't.
We asked it before, haven't we? Is it evening?
It's evening somewhere.
Evening somewhere. It's currently about half
Morning,
one.
afternoon, evening. Good night.
Yeah, half two in America. Like that, half three, something like that. Half two, I think. Yeah. So it's late here anyway. Quite late anyway. Yeah. So
well, I've been back from work for about an hour and a half.
I know.
And I've not had
work now, aren't we?
I'm ready for bed. To be honest.
How long is your commute?
Me, 15-minute walk.
Okay. My commute is walking down the stairs. Down to my office at my living room. So let's go on with actual New York reports. I'm not talking about.
I was going to say, stop moaning about work, Luke. God.
Oh no, I've never moaned about work. You know that as well.
Right, it has been a bit of a mad few weeks, really, when it comes to both RBNY and to MLS itself. I'm still, I think, recovering from my sleeping pattern from having to get back involved in the late nights on the weekend and staying up with cans of Red Bull because, I'm very much on brand, me. Until daft o'clock in the morning watching us not do particularly well. It feels like I'm back in the place where I want to be, so it's very good. This week sort of started off, the last 2 weeks sort of started off with a bit of transfer news, really. The week last week was quite quiet to begin with. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was quite quiet, and toward the end of the week really vamped up. First of all, the news of Cincinnati midfielder Frankie and Meyer signing for New York Red Bulls. This is a player that we've been tracking for a period of time, to the point that Cincinnati have tried to have us done for tampering in inverted commas. So we've clearly been chasing him for quite a bit. But we've got our man. He's a deep line midfielder. He's a passer of the ball, but he can break down the game as well. He's a player I'm really, really excited about. We can talk about his debut as well, sort of a little bit more in depth later on. But I think, how do we feel about the fact that we've got this option in, Ronnie?
Oh no, I don't think anyone can not be excited by. We got a glimpse of him obviously on Sunday evening, but it's a player that when we've watched MLS and watched his games prior to it, he stood out in a game, and you can tell he's got a real talent, and he's very, very adapted to the MLS level. And I can only see him being a benefit for the side that we was lacking in that department. And I know Luke's a big fan because he's mentioned about 500 times in the last week. So I'll let him have the words. I think he might be his new fan club member over there.
I don't know.
Dax McCarthy, the second. Is that what it is?
Dax McCarthy will never be second. Like, I think when I'm in Victor, everyone has long forgotten who Dax McCarthy is. Unless he becomes the world famous manager, which I imagine if he does that. But I was really excited. I think also we were kept with the news first break. It must be 2 weeks ago now. I was signing him, and it kept being delayed, and we weren't sure we were going to come, the new contract we wanted. And obviously, I have spoken about him a lot. I think, and it's funny because when we did our season preview, Scott, you mentioned him on one of our best players, and you think both the best players of last season were probably Gutman and him. We got both of them. No Gutman's on loan, but both players, we got them now, and we signed them up to a new 3-year contract, and it shows we got a proper head of football now, not a Mickey Mouse one. We've actually managed to get him at this year's rate. The new contract won't take forth next year to a salary cap. We already get a hit of this year's salary because so it's nice to know we've got someone who's actually good at their job now. Mentioning no names.
No, I mean, I think the fact that we're spending $1 million as well,
Oh yeah.
in terms of allocation money, I think putting across £1 million for anybody shows real intent. And it's nice to see the club. I mean, the amount of transfers we've had in generally, but the fact that we're going out for big targets and paying big money, it's just not something that we've been sort of used to over the last 4 or 5 years. I think sort of since the days of the sort of Henrys and Cahills, it's nice to know that we're putting that money out there. So I'm really, really pleased. This is obviously a first round draft pick a couple of years ago for Cincy. This is, I mean, his future was very bright. He used to play with Cameron Harper, another new signing back at college, and the fact that we've got 2 really, really exciting players like that on the side is something to look forward to. Following that, we thought, new signing, we can get to bed now. Nothing else is going to happen till June at least. And then a couple of days later, it was announced that Polish under-21 international striker Patrick Klimala has signed for New York Red Bulls. It's around $3.5 million, I think, or £3.5 million. I can't quite remember.
No, I think I heard the fee was around $3.7 million. So I think it was about 5 million. It could go to 5 million in pounds. I think Celtic said that. I'm not sure. I saw it somewhere. Anyway. It's a fair old transfer fee.
It's a whack, isn't it? No, absolutely.
And again, this was something what we got broke probably a week ago. We weren't the first one. We had it on our website, so you can find out RBNYUK.com. We've got all the transfer stuff from there. Yeah, getting that plug in. News broke about a week ago where we were signing him. And obviously, he's not had the best time at Celtic. He's not fitting, and that's been Celtic have not been that good this year anyway. So I think you've got to forget about that and move on. And obviously, with MLS and Scottish Premiership, a completely different kettle of fish. So, and to spend like a good chunk, multi-million pounds, and he's on a DP contract. It's not going to be. You're not going to be like $1,000. He's on a fair bit of money as well. I don't think you can. Anyone who does in this transfer window has been brilliant. I want to know what they're on because I don't think this transfer window got any better. And it was a serious outline catch this year. It's not 40 million like in Leipzig, but it's a fair amount of money for MLS team.
No, I mean,
yeah.
Go on, Ronnie. Go on.
I was just going to say, we could tell straight away by the some of the Celtic fans and some of our Scottish friends who actually commentating everything on the MLS said he's a good signing, and it was just one of them that sometimes a player's not a right fit for a team like Celtic who have got a bit more of a depth squad, so it's harder to break through. But obviously, like what every single football fan does in the world, as soon as you're going to sign someone, you go on YouTube and type in name, compilation, welcome to Red Bulls. And yeah, believe it or not, there was a thing. And it looks like a good player. And it'd be one of them that obviously we've got the attacking options in the squad already, but it's never going to hurt having competition. And competition normally strives for the success of other players as well. And I think he could actually work quite well with Fabio as well. Not like I'm saying anything about Brian White, but it's one of them that we are looking into the European market, which is nice. And looking at players who are not 30, 40, these are younger players who are hungry for it and want to prove a point.
No, I mean, Klimala, I think we've got to give him a little bit of respect anyway in terms of Celtic. I think if you look at he's been there a year and a half. Now, one of those years, they didn't even complete the season due to COVID. Then the half a season, you've got to allow him to integrate. You've got to allow him to get used to his new surroundings. You add that to the fact that they've got, the 2 strikers at Celtic are obviously Odsonne Edouard, who for me he's bound for a big European club, either in England or France or Spain in the next sort of 12 months. And Lee Griffiths, who, again, former Wolves favourite, when he's a typical Scottish Premier League striker. He will score 20 goals a season, whether every single performance is off the bench. you're not going to make big risks. I think, especially if you look at the last season, they had a really, really poor campaign. When you're having a bad year, you're not going to go, let's go and try this 20-something year old striker who's not been informed yet. You're not going to give him that opportunity. So I think we can sort of appreciate the fact that he hasn't been given that chance yet, and this is a really, really good opportunity. So Celtic paid out £5 million for him. I think if Celtic prepared to pay £5 million, there's something. There's certainly something there. I'm excited. Like you said, I think the thought of him and Fabio up top is something I think that we can look at to be really quite successful. Yeah. And he's young enough to be able to sell on, which is obviously what we plan to do with every player. Sell him on, make a pretty penny. Salzburg, Leipzig, or whoever else. If he comes in and scores 20 goals this year, there's going to be ears twitching over at the European Red Bull clubs. But yeah,
I don't think he'll be playing. He's definitely not going to be playing on our next game.
No, he's not over yet. He's
waiting for the move is pending a P1 visa and an ATC. So I would say it's be a few weeks at least before we see him. He's not been training with a team yet, as far as I'm aware. So I would be very surprised if we see him before the late May at the very, very earliest. I would be.
I've followed him on Instagram, and he's doing a lot of training. Sort of, I think I don't know whether he's with other people either in Poland or something, but he's doing a lot of training sort of elsewhere at the minute.
Okay, yeah. He's probably waiting for his visa, so he'll be a little while, but we can get started now anyway.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Talking of transfers, there's been a little bit of news now. I didn't really know whether to comment on this because I thought it sort of came and then it went, but I don't think it's necessarily dead yet. There's been so many ins this year, and we've been excited about so many young and exciting players coming out. However, we've also had a couple of players leave. And the one that's been sort of mooted over the last sort of week or so is an exit to potentially a Western Conference team, an unnamed Western Conference team, for Austrian midfield striker Danny Royer. I mean, Danny's been one of our most successful players over the last sort of 4 years or so. Somebody that I think does an absolutely tremendous job when he comes on. He's been one of the better players over the past 2 games when he's appeared on the pitch, although perhaps should have scored in the last couple of minutes against Galaxy the other day with a strike on the edge of the box. I mean, again, it's news, it's speculation. I'm not going to say this is happening. I'm not going to say it's not happening. I, for one, would be bitterly disappointed to see Danny Royer leave this season. I think his career at Red Bull is coming to an end due to sort of the way that we're trying to do things. But I think this season, when we've got such a high turnover of players, such a young squad coming in, I think it would be a bit of an error. Ronnie, what do you think?
No, yeah, definitely, I'd agree. It'd be bitter because, don't get me wrong, it's lovely having all these new additions, but you need to have the experienced players there to teach the fundamentals of the club. There's even little things like settling into a new city. He was at that point as well, moving over from Europe into America's literally a whole new continent. And it's important to have them type players, but also like what we was touching on before in our private chat about the LA Galaxy game was when he come off the bench, you could see the leadership there, and you need leaders in a squad. And any successful team has multiple leaders, and it doesn't matter if he's coming off the bench or not, because some people would be moaning, sitting there and just come on the pitch and just walk around for 25 minutes. But he got straight into the players, started firing up, and actually gave impact. But no, I would not, like, obviously we know that his time's not going to be here forever, but don't cut it short. I think try and give him this, I'll definitely give him this season, because he can play in a multitude of positions as well, which I think is fundamental. And he can be the difference maker in certain games, but also these younger players coming through, he's going to be there to teach them the ropes as well.
Yeah, Luke.
Yeah, I think both of you guys are right. It's no secret his time is coming to an end at Red Bulls. That's common sense now. He I don't know how he must be in his 30s nearly, or if he's not yet.
31, I think.
Yeah, he's in his 30s. The way Red Bull works, he's not going to be here any long. My personal opinion, I think he'll be there this season, and then I'll shop him off at the end of the season. I mean, isn't his contract up for this season?
Quite possibly.
I mean, I don't think they.
Yes,
Again,
it is, because football manager told me that.
Okay,
Yeah,
it is.
if I remember correctly. So,
it makes no sense to trade him, because if you're going to trade him, you're going to get really little for him, because he's got no contract in 8 months' time. So I think it's more likely he'll be here this season, but decline his option in December, and he moves on. I think he's staying in MLS. Good luck to him. He's a good guy, but his time has come to an end. He moves on, and it's sad, but he's a good player. He's not a player he was like in 2016 or 18. Not that sort of player anymore.
No, I agree. Again, Roy, I like Roy. I've got a lot of time for Danny Roy. As a part of the squad, I think as well, when we've got Clark, who obviously is a very, very exciting player out on that sort of wide left 10 position. I think we don't necessarily have an immediate replacement for him other than Roy. And I think, if Clark's here until the end of the season, you don't want to burn out an 18-year-old. I think the idea to have somebody to rotate in is never going to be a bad option, really. So no, I hope we keep hold of Danny, but we shall obviously see. Some sort of more positive transfer news, not transfer news, is that Tom Edwards is now officially training with the camp. He's over here. He's playing. There have been images of him. He is isolating. He's training on his own, but or was last week. But at least now he's with the boys. He's sort of part of the club, and he's in the city. I think that's really, really exciting. I think having another option at right back, especially after some questionable decisions on Sunday night when it came to the right back position, I think it's going to be a really, really good option there. Luke, what do you think?
Yeah, I think we both said, I think Tom did was both our first pick at right back, and we picked our first 11 last podcast, I think. So it's good he's in the country, and he obviously is a very good player. He will start the game. It's now. I think Chicago may be a bit too soon for him. I wonder. We'll see, but I would be very surprised if he's not in for the game after Chicago, especially after Sunday's performance at right back. We would touch on later.
First half performance at right back.
First half.
Second half.
But we touch on later. Touch on that later.
Yes.
We will.
Yes, but since we last spoke properly, MLS has kicked off. Woo! We are now heading toward game week 3, with Red Bulls currently sitting at the bottom of the Eastern Conference, which is fantastic to see, and nothing that we didn't expect, to be completely.
To be honest, like a league table after 2 games is like.
Oh no!
It's like compare. I don't have a comparison here, but like it's like going to a shop and doing a full shop and picking up 2 items. Only £10, thinking what a cheap shop it's turned out to be. Is it not?
What is this analogy? What is this?
I've got no idea. I was trying to think of something. I thought, better think of something. But after 2 games, it's nothing. I actually think I'm even more confident. I actually think we're top of the East now. So I'm still more confident I was. I realize that's a very bold claim to make. But
putting big pressure on young heads there, Luke. Dear me.
I know, but when is he shocked?
Oh well, I wasn't expecting that on a lovely Wednesday evening. I think I might have to sit back and have a drink after that one, or maybe have someone go around with a breathalyzer for Luke. I think that's probably the more suggestive thing. But no, like touching on, like it's still the early season, and you look over the Eastern and Western Conference. Obviously, there's still 2 teams to play their second game, but only one team has got 6 points, and I think that's a massive show in the league. That obviously, LA Galaxy, who had to be the team, have won both, but it just shows you that the level of the league at the moment is so early, and you can't say nothing because only one team's managed to win 2 out of 2, and I think obviously on another day they might have even not even got the 3 points in their first game or even the second game if chances are taken. So it's obviously still very early days. And even though Luke's getting the bunting out, the champagne out, and he's ready celebrating, I think it's going to be quite an interesting season.
Yeah, no,
Let's say
absolutely.
Nashville final game of the season could be champion, Supporter Shield champion. Okay.
Right. Again, I think you need a bit of a sit down, kid. You know what I mean?
But I don't mean it. Yeah, I do think they did quite well, but I mean, at the start of the season, if that's not your aim, this is MLS we're talking about. Anything can happen. We don't know what will happen. Like,
I'm
not serious.
positive.
Like, no, I'm being serious now. Who were picked in 2015? We were won for Shield. So you just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, I agree.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, yeah,
it won't be 13.
But we're saying about predictions. The prediction league that we do run between the three of us and a guest. I think out of the three of us, only one person's got points so far. So I'm just going to leave that one there. But we'll give them more. We'll update that at a later point, especially in our pre-game show at the weekend. We'll run over it. But just saying, I think we should stop the vote, stop the count, and sort some sort of prize.
Yeah? It's a bit like Donald Trump there, Ronnie.
Stop it.
Oh. But no, MLS has kicked off. It's exciting. It's really, really good to have it back. I've watched so much football over the last 2 weekends, and I can pretty much say that a very small amount of it has been European football, because I've been just so happy to have this wonderful league back. It's been great. It's been great to have it back. And again, I don't think there's too much need to comment on standings or results at the early stage, because obviously, it's very early on in the season. But no, it's been exciting. It's exciting.
Have it back.
Go on.
It's good to have it back. Good to have football on. And from basically all three of us, actually, I'm going to say two of us, teams having pretty shit seasons in Europe this year. Probably, Ronnie's probably doing the worst out of all of us, weirdly, and then above all that.
Semi-final.
You're also 10th in the Premier League.
At the end of the day, it's what you lift at the end of the season. And from a personal perspective, and I know there's probably some Tottenham fans out there going to listen, but they haven't won anything again, so oh well.
But Arsenal might not win it. I don't Arsenal win it either, but we're getting away from the point now. It's good to have something back you can actually enjoy. That being said, New York have lost both games so far. But we'll forget about that tidbit.
Solid start. Right, now, just to mention as well, I don't want to talk about it too much because we're not in it anymore and it upsets me. But obviously the Champions League started and has gone on. We had 5 teams in the draw for the quarter-finals, which is really, really exciting. 3 of the teams are playing Mexican sides. And then obviously Atlanta and Philadelphia were drawn against each other. Last night's results saw Chris Armas's TFC Reds go and lose 3-1 at home to Cruz Azul. I mean, there's absolutely no shame in losing to Cruz Azul in this competition.
Oh, no.
I'm pretty certain that Mr. Armas had something to do with it. And then the Philadelphia game was something else. I mean, I've watched highlights. Atlanta for the first half were quite dominant and played well. And, I'm really enjoying watching their sort of rebirth under Heinze so far. I've watched all of their Champions League games and I've watched the Orlando game. And I think it's really, really nice to see sort of how exciting they're looking. I don't like Atlanta. I don't want them to win, but it's just nice to see for the league. But then Philadelphia took 2 breaks and a set piece and ended up winning the game 3-0. That tie's dead going into the second round, really. So, it's exciting. It's exciting to see MLS teams doing well. Atlanta will go out. TFC, I think, at 3-1 will probably go out. But there's still plenty of teams in the hat, and hopefully this will be the year that we go. As a league, we go and win the competition. How do you feel about the whole Champions League, Ronnie, with us not being in it?
No, yeah, it's like we were saying though, for the league, it's very big. It's also giving them a respect from like Central America, South America, but also Europe. Like once they realised that MLS teams were performing not just in America and beating some of the bigger sides from Mexico, for example, it only leads to credibility. And also, like the ramification of winning the Champions League, you get spots in the Club World Cup as well. It'd be lovely to see a MLS side represented there. Shame, obviously, it's not us, but one team's going to have to be the front runners for everyone else in the future to look and say we can do it as well.
I'll take Portland personally. I love a bit of Portland, and the idea of them going and playing a Barcelona or whoever else in the chat in the Club World Cup would be fantastic. But yeah,
I mean,
Luke, what do you think?
I don't think MLS team will win it. I don't think they will win it. And I'll be honest, the selfish part of me would quite like that. I do that Red Bulls could still be the first MLS team to win it. Obviously, we need to have a good V this year to get back in it. We're not in the League Cup this year anymore. We've changed the goalposts again, which is totally not MLS thing to do at all. So I don't know why we're doing that, but we're not in that this year. So we can't even win that again to the Champions League. So that's annoying. But we need to get back in it ASAP. Because I want a trip to some big obscure North American country to watch a match for about.
Let's go to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Costa Rica sounds good.
Thank you, doesn't it? So,
Yeah, I was going to say, shame Cancun don't have a football team. That sounds like a nice little trip.
yeah. Do you reckon we could get first class? First class. First class.
Let's just hopefully Red Bulls can get there within a couple of seasons first, and then we'll start looking at flights and everything.
We'll get there soon. Actually, we're going to win the Sports Shield this year.
All right, pipe down. I'm bored now.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I tell you,
Right.
if optimism could kill, my goodness, this kid's saying else tonight. I think we have to maybe we might have to go to bed a bit earlier in the future or something, brother.
I think he might have had a couple too many Coca-Colas before he's come on. I think that's the problem.
Oh, I'm making mood tonight. I've got a lot of things going up. Well, I'm in the mood. We're going to do this.
Fantastic.
Right.
We like to hear it. Right. Okay. So we're gonna have a brief sort of discussion now, looking back at the first game of the season, the Sporting Kansas City game. Ronnie and I. No, that was Luke and I previewed this one. Sorry, I'm trying to get back in time. Luke and I previewed this one a couple of weeks ago and went into a bit of detail, but it's nice to be able to have a chat looking back. Obviously, the game was played at Red Bull Arena. Red Bull's taking the lead with Caden Clark with a wonderful, wonderful effort. A penalty put Sporting Kansas City level, and then 2 minutes later, a bit of a defensive slip caused SKC to go and take the lead. They saw the game out as 2-1 winners. But there were, again, especially in the first half, I thought there were plenty of positives to be taken.
Oh, yeah.
What did we think of the game? First of all, Luke?
So I'm going to be quite honest. I saw the first 15 minutes of this game. Then I went to bed because I was absolutely shattered. I went shopping that day. Now I get absolutely
shopping.
Shopping free supplies for when we win the league. That's what he was doing. He's not going to admit it now, but he's going to put a picture soon online with bottles of champagne, red and white bunting around his house already.
I went shopping. I was tired, so I watched the first 15 minutes. I saw the goal by Caden Clark, and then I just fell asleep. So I was just knackered. So I saw, but I agree. I think there was definitely promising signs, and you could tell they weren't fully fit. I think a draw would probably been a fair result. Again, it was a situation where if we took our chances, it could probably been a draw. But again, we didn't. So yeah, it was a typical home opener, I would say.
No, I'd agree. Ronnie, what do you reckon? What did you think of the game?
Yeah, we touched on it briefly in our Galaxy preview, but there was positives and negatives, obviously, like any opening season. But the main thing we drew upon was its fitness levels and not having a proper pre-season, not playing full games as well in pre-season. Players coming in from Europe. It was all a bit of a mixed match. That the first, I would even say 5 to 6 games of the season is going to be like a pre-season. So you're going to see a bit of rotation and tired legs. So yeah, like Caden Clark. Well, we could talk all day about Caden Clark and his wonder strikes and everything, but yeah, there was positives to take, and it's just a learning experience, not just for the players, but also for the management as well. So not gonna get dwell on it that much. I was over it in about a day, losing the game, and just looking like what we was going to do in the LA Gates game. You can see progressions as well. So I think that's the main thing that they're working on, and hopefully they can see that as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. Again, I think the 2 goals that we conceded were purely down to lack of match sharpness. I think those goals don't. The penalty doesn't get conceded, and the goal doesn't go in if we played a full pre-season, or if maybe we're on game week 10. I think they are early season, finding our feet, finding where we are, goals to concede. Clark's goal was an absolute beautiful. And I think that, the new signings sort of showed up well, played well. I think Diarra was a huge loss in the middle, and that's nothing against Flo below, but I think losing him to just fitness was a big sort of change in our midfield. But I mean, overall, I was really, really pleased. I think it's a good start. There's plenty of positives to take from that game, and I think that's what we need to do at the moment. I think if we were to all pick a man of the match and a game to forget of the match as such, I mean, I'll go first. I think my man of the match was Andrew Gutman, who sort of impressed defensively first and foremost, which is something that we've struggled with at left back. I think over the last year or two without Kamar, worked really well defensively and then burst forward really, really well, and sort of game to forget. I think that was Kyle Duncan. For me, he was at fault for both the penalty and the goal, but obviously we're not going to weigh too heavy on him. Ronnie, man of the match and sort of the opposite.
Yeah, I think even though you went Gutman, I think he's my honourable mention. He played a fantastic game. Like, as again, second half it's so weird, I'll feel it. But I think for the strike alone, I think sometimes goals can make you a man of the match. And Caden Clark's finish was just a superb effort. And not many players would attempt it and pull it off and not hit the ball into the Hudson River. But also, he's just, for his age, he's so cool on his shoulders. Like, you can see he's going places. And to forget, I'd probably have to agree with Duncan. I'm a big fan of Duncan, but it's just getting him back into the motion of playing games. And I'm hoping, even though obviously we've got new players coming in who might take his position, that he still gets the games, because there's a good player in there. It's just still quite raw, and I think it just needs the gameplay to get up to that level.
No, I agree. Luke, your best player and worst?
So I pretty agree. I think my man of the match is Caden Clark. But I also agree with both of you.
Because you only watched 10 minutes. So.
Yeah, man of the 10 minutes. This one.
No, 50 minutes. 50 minutes. 50.
Oh, 15, sorry.
So 50 of it. But I would agree with Carl Duncan. What I've seen, obviously I was asleep when they scored, but what I've seen since on highlights, I'm not a big fan of Carl Duncan. Never have been. I don't particularly think. I think he's more of a two-player and player for the first team. Personally, it's my opinion. But I'm happy to be proved wrong if he does it this season. But like, if it shows how bad he was. I'm trying not to dig in too much, but when he got replaced by a non-right back, who had a shocking first half performance, that shows how bad his game must have been.
Right, Kyle, if you're listening, I'm really, really sorry. He's had too much to drink. He's a little bit high on life, and I don't think he's in the right state of mind at the minute. Kyle Duncan was called up to the US men's national team last year. Kyle Duncan is a very good player. I will not have a bad word said about Kyle Duncan. He just had a bad game. But no, I think generally, we agree. We've got the same sort of ideas of players that played well. Honourable mentions go to Fabio as well, obviously Caden Clark. And I think that in that game, defensively, we didn't look terrible. Coronel, I think, looked quite smart in goal as well. So no, I think that was a sort of, not the ideal way, but a decent way to kick off the season before Galaxy. Right, okay, so we are back. I don't really, we've been gone for a few minutes just trying to sort a few technical issues out. Obviously, SKC was week 1. Coming into week 2, it was our first and only Western Conference away trip of the season over to Los Angeles to play the Galaxy. We are very lucky today that in a very, very short while, we are going to be joined by a guest, a UK LA Galaxy fan, Chris Egan, who we're very, very excited to talk to. But first, Luke, sort of a brief overview on a Red Bull New York level. Obviously, big change in formation, going from the Struber diamond into a 3 at the back, wing backs, very, very different sort of formation. Coronel in goal, Long, Tarek and Nealis at centre half, Gutman and the surprise addition of Flo below at right back. Midfield of Davis, Caceres and who played in bloody midfield? I've missed one. There's somebody that's gone out of my head. Right, and then Clark, Fabio up top, and Brian White sort of out on the right-hand side, sort of putting in. What did we think, mate?
Well, I'm gonna say this now. The throw at the back should never, ever be played again. I don't care or whatever. Never played again. Sean Nealis did not have a good game. Did not have a great game. Sean Davis. Imagine something about Sean's, because Sean Davis didn't have a good game either. I think he had quite a poor game. And it doesn't help. Not very easy to win a game. You can see 3 goals. Like, scoring wise, we scored 2 goals. We could attack quite well. We just couldn't defend. And it's typical Chicharito. I haven't said his name right. Horrible pronunciation. So he was not very good last season. And he's on 5 this season at the moment, which is just typical for that really, isn't it?
Standard. No, I mean, I think, to be fair, I think the sort of original team sheet was something that we all looked at in a bit of confusion. We've obviously got 2 recognised right backs who are fit, and then one who is obviously still waiting for clearance and that. But I think that Duncan, yes, he had a poor game against Sporting Kansas City, but to drop him for Velo at right back was just a huge error. I think all of Galaxy's play in the first sort of 10 minutes came down our right hand side. Flo being the sort of biggest issue, and Sean Nealis continually found himself sort of grounded. I think our attacking play was very exciting. I think there was a lot to sort of be said again for Andrew Gutman, for Caden Clark, for Fabio. Brian White, I think, had a pretty decent game as well. But I think overall, I mean, I don't want to go too much into it before Chris comes in. But I think I was pleased with lots of things and very unhappy with others. At half time, Struber noticed, I think we messaged in the group and we said, right, Nealis off, Velo off. And it happened at half time and we came out looking a lot better. But obviously that's a very sort of short view on the New York Red Bull side of things. We are very, 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 very pleased and very delighted to announce that we are joined by Chris Egan. Good evening, Chris.
Hello, thank you for having me.
How are we doing? How's your day been?
Yeah, real good so far. Still buzzing from the recent win that we just had. Not to brag, but with the past couple of years, we've struggled to get some results. So it was nice to actually get 2 wins on the bounce. That was quite unheard of in the past couple of years.
It must feel very nice having those 6 points in the bank.
Yeah, unexpected as well.
Is this turn of the Galaxy back? Or are we getting ahead of ourselves?
Yeah, do you know what? It's I think what you asked me for my predictions before the game. I said 2-0. I thought I saw enough from the first match to think, oh yeah, we've got a little bit of a strut back from the seasons gone by. Like when I first started watching the Galaxy, it was like 10 years ago. Obviously, I was part of like the Beckham era, and there was probably only one season where we looked proper dodgy, and after that, there was this domination for about four years, and then we just ever since Bruce Arenas left, we've just made mistake after mistake, and But this year, it just feels a little bit different with Craig Vanny coming in, and we know what he's done with Toronto, and we know how he plays. It's great football that he has, and actually he's brought in some pieces that we've missed quite a bit. But the key question was can we get Chicharito to score? And that is the biggest one. And he had some issues last season with personal issues, and he was definitely overweight. And this year had a really good pre-season, and looks like he's got everything sorted. And the past 2 games, we have just seen, that DP that we wanted from him. And I feel like we got a little bit of our swag back. But I'm trying not to get ahead of myself, because a lot of these guys that are performing are in their 30s, and it's game 2, and we've got X amount of games to go. Can they consistently do it throughout? Good, the time will tell. But however, right now, yeah, I'm pleased.
I think also it's very optimistic to think Galaxy will get back to that super level. You think? I would say someone probably 5-6 years ago, probably a bit more than that, 10 years ago, unknown to MLS. Like LA Galaxy was like the Galacticos of MLS. They were the ultimate team, and even though it's impressive, most of their stats for one, there was about 12 and 15 teams in the league. They've not got the amount of teams. We're on 27 now. I've lost count now. So many new ones come in. I think like DC, we don't like DC very much. But they're going about how many MLS Cup they won when they won most of them. With 10 teams in the league. I think also it's a bit like Arsenal going about how they were 49 games unbeaten 2004. Once you want to look back into the good times, I think you've also got to accept sometimes the league and move forward. I think that's an issue. A lot of guys fans don't. I think that's the issue. I don't know if I'm being. I don't know if I'm wrong. I apologize, but that's the feeling I get sometimes.
No, do you know what? You're spot on, because we had those 4 years of domination. No, we were just always in and around the top for those 4 years, and it felt like Keane, Donovan, Beckham, Omar Gonzalez, AJ De La Garza, the names can reel off of how decent these players were. But when that era finished, we then decided getting Kurt Marufo from the second team, who he was blessed with some great reserve players. We brought him up, and it didn't work out. And albeit Kurt Marufo wasn't actually the man to steer the ship forward, since then we've also gone from manager to manager. And it's not like AGM, who actually funds the Galaxy, they were still giving us the money to go out and get in big players. Obviously we've got Zoltan and stuff like that. The issue was, you're absolutely right, was the league moved on from these European players. So obviously, Beckham was at the twilight, and so was Keane. And now everyone's moved over to getting more North American, South American players. And we got to the party late. Obviously, we tried it with Pavon. He was a fantastic acquisition. However, he's gone back to Boca. And we literally now are catching up to the party. And so we didn't evolve. We literally stagnated bottom of the league. It was absolutely horrendous. But what we see now with Greg Vanny is that he's brought in a lot of guys that have done it in MLS, and looks like we're bringing in some trustworthy pieces now. So the future is looking a little bit more brighter. I think Greg is a perfect guy for us. It'd be really interesting to see what we're going to do this season.
I don't think it could be. I think I'd sound completely neutral, but I don't think it could be a worse decline really in MLS. You look at MLS and Galaxy. You think the late 90s, they might not have won any cup, but they were always in that running. Early 2000s, early 10s under Arena and Beckham, always there. And you look for the last couple of years, they won the Wooden Spoon twice. So it's a trophy. I know. It's a trophy, but it's not a trophy. Do you really want that though? Don't you really want that trophy? No. You look at it. It's not a worthy club. We should probably get on and talk about the match now.
You're right.
So, like looking at the game, obviously on Sunday, what was it that you saw that Greg Vanny had sort of changed that maybe we didn't see this time last year?
He's just got the structure right, whereas last year we didn't have that. I'm not going to talk about the defense right now because we've had issues with our defense for the past couple of years, and it's still quite obvious that we've got defensive issues, and we've already given up 4 goals in 2 games. But do you know what? Greg Vanny teams are not built for defense. If you look at his stats with Toronto, they're built for scoring goals. And so we see already what we're doing with this attacking. I know he wants to get that back line right, but I don't see it right now. But there is a better balance between the back to the middle to the top. The key one was getting supply to Chicharito that we didn't have before, because Hernandez hasn't had that. And bringing in Victor Vasquez, who has surprised me already. I mean, 34, but you can already tell his class, especially from the second goal. He's a very tidy player. It was a gorgeous pass. I don't think any of us saw it. But, Hernandez done great, brought it down. He did a fantastic finish. There's still some bits to go. I mean, I try not to get ahead of myself. Into Miami, it's still a new team. And when I looked at the Red Bulls lineup, I didn't watch much MLS last year because just of the no fans piece and the Galaxy were awful.
I don't think anybody did really.
I don't think anybody did they? MLS without fans, it's a pretty hard product to watch. But when I saw the Red Bulls lineup, I was like, this Red Bull team looks young. It doesn't look like the Red Bull teams of what I'm used to. And so I thought, well, you can get at these young guys. There's a big spine down the middle with the Galaxy where you've got a lot of experience there. And so I think, Greg Vanny's done a great job about putting right people in the right place. And also he's actually given people opportunities in other areas. Like Zubac was our second striker last year. I think he probably scored about 2 goals. He was actually playing on the wing this time. And so he's given these people opportunities. So, Greg, I think, he's just got a clear idea about what he wants and how he wants to go out and play. And these guys are trying to emulate that on the pitch.
No, I mean, I was impressed with a lot of what I saw, and I don't think I've felt that about a Galaxy team in quite a while. So no, I definitely agree. Going back to your comment on the Red Bull side, which of our pieces do you think stood out? I mean, obviously I'm not quite sure how comfortable you are with names and that, but which Red Bull players do you made Galaxy sort of tremble?
Do you know what? I'm going to start from like number 3 to 1. The third one was Fabio. Didn't know much about him, but I heard he's 6'4", both-footed. Well, they got a turnover, I think, in the first half, and I think he flicked up, he striked in, and Bond done a great save. He looks like a guy that's going to be hopefully a useful asset for you guys. And I was surprised that they pulled him off as well in the second half. But he looked very interesting. The other one was Gutman on the wing.
Gutman.
Yeah, I thought he was fantastic. I thought he was a real piece. He had great energy and he was up and down. Obviously scored a great goal as well. But the biggest standout was Clark. I had to Wikipedia him and see he was a 17-year-old kid for the Red Bulls. And I was like, gosh, he looks like a great talent already. 17, and you could already tell that he's got maturity above his age. And I don't think you guys will have him that long personally.
The rumor is, I don't know if it's been confirmed, but apparently it's already contracted to go to Leipzig in January. I don't know if that's confirmed. So that's confirmed, Scott, or that's a rumor. I think that's a rumor.
I think it's a very, very implied rumor, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? I think we can all read around the lines there, and it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. He's going to join Jesse Marsh.
From a Red Bull point of view, I think the fact that a lot of clubs, especially sort of MLS sides, you get like generational talents that come through that go and play a year and then move on, and that won't happen again in another sort of 5, 6, 7 year cycle. I mean, I think if you look at us in the last 3 years, the fact that we've sort of gone, you look at obviously Caden Clark at the minute, but then you look at Tyler Adams. What we're doing down in our twos and in our academy is absolutely wonderful. And I know you highlighted on the side being young, and no, it's not all academy prospects, but I just think it's the sort of ideology we're going for now to try and get these players in, get them playing a good year or two, and then getting them shipped off elsewhere. That is the aim of it. You know, we're never going to be the Red Bull's #1 child anymore. You know, we're the third child that sort of gets the scraps for a couple of years and then gets their things taken off them. But what we're seeing, I think, is encouraging. I think the more experienced players, if I'm honest, are the players that showed us up on Sunday. Flo Velo, I don't think I mean, he's been played out of position, but I don't think he had a good game. Then you look over at Aaron Long, who for me is he's my favourite Red Bulls player. I love everything about Aaron Long. He does not work in the centre of a three. He's a right-sided centre-back that needs a channel to pass to. He does not work in the centre. Amro Tarek and Sean Davis, I don't think these sort of shrouded themselves in much glory on Sunday.
Yeah.
Whilst you look at the Clarks, the Fabios, the Gutmans, the sort of younger boys that really came out and impressed. I mean, obviously the game's finished now. You know, you've come away with the points, and you should be delighted. So, what you're hoping for over the next few weeks?
It's probably to carry on. Well, I mean, we've got LAFC in a couple of games' time, and I think it's building up to that game against them. You know, they've whipped us a couple of times now, but albeit this year, when I've watched them, they're not the LAFC that we know of before. So we're building up to that point of, okay, if it all comes into play, let's see when we get. I think LAFC is about 2 games time, maybe. Getting up to that point, see where we are then. But we just need to keep. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs of this team. You can already tell, like, how we gave up those goals so easy. Especially the free kick, which I know Red Bulls are renowned for great free kicks and stuff and set pieces. I couldn't believe it. I was like, you can already see some of these issues. But yeah, it's probably to keep building on that because the team looks great. But again, like I said, they're around their 30s, these guys. You know, are they going to keep doing it throughout the season is a big question. So yeah, it's to keep improving, keep building on what we've got right now.
If you were to pick one player on the Red Bull team to come over and play for Galaxy, and I don't, you know, I mean, some of us might go, oh, that's a clear and obvious choice, but I think you've got to think of positional sense where you might need somebody to come and fit in. Which Red Bulls player would you take tomorrow if you could?
You know what, like, okay, so heart over my head. So if my heart, I'd take Clark just because he's 17, he's exciting. But if I'm going to do it, then I'll probably take Aaron Long, just because our defence needs someone that's done MLS for X amount of years. And I think our defence hasn't been right for years. It's been quite embarrassing, actually, our defence. We give up goals for fun. When we go to some stadiums, I cringe to go, oh, Christ, how many are we going to ship in? Maybe someone like Aaron Long that's done it would have been great. I'd probably take him for the defence. Not an exciting piece, but an obvious piece.
Absolutely. What do you think, Luke?
Yeah, I agree. Aaron Long. It's a question from back earlier in the podcast. Every transfer window we have, will he be here? Will he be in Europe? And every transfer window he hangs on, and it's getting to. He needs. I think he's 30 now. He's nearly 30. His time's running out to go to Europe. So if he doesn't go to Europe this summer, he's going to be in MLS for life. So we've got a few. I don't know.
It's quite surprising actually that he's 30. He doesn't feel like he's been around all that long. I know he has been, but it doesn't feel like. I can't believe he's 30.
He came into the side though. He came into the side at about 24.
I think he's 28. Apologies, 28.
So if he's going to go, he's going to have to go soon to Europe. Europe. Yeah,
he was a player. I think he was at Seattle.
He was at Seattle,
and it didn't work at Seattle. Ended up sort of going around, and then came over to our twos. And obviously, our twos are so closely connected to our first team. And I think it was about he was about 24. We offered him an opportunity, and then in 2018 he came from absolutely nowhere, sort of the year before, to get MLS Defender of the Year. His growth is, for me, it's so Red Bull. It's so what we do. It's so sort of part of our identity.
I'm going to go a bit of a rant now, kind of. What annoys me, not you guys have it, but when every transfer window, West Ham bid $2 million for him, and people go, Red Bull have ruined his career. Why are they not selling him? as if they should accept a bid with nowhere near valuation. Because he's contracted to the club, and the club, if the offer's not right for the club, they should definitely reject them. It's not the club's job to produce these American players to go to Europe. And B, if it wasn't for the Red Bulls, he wouldn't be playing professional football right now. He'd be doing another job. Because when New York took him up, he was playing USL. And he wouldn't be going nowhere near Europe. But again, that's just typical MLS.
Yeah, absolutely. And they always, the European clubs tend to pillage from MLS, and always give these low ball offers of 2.5 million. You know what I mean? And it's like, yes, his value does not match 2.5 million.
No.
You know, they always do it. Because they always devalue the product that MLS has. And actually, it's a growing product. Hence why they're going to South America, North America, because these guys think actually getting onto the MLS stage will get them into Europe. But also, we can price. The Galaxy have been trying to battle Pavon, but getting him back. Boca Juniors want 20 million for him. Whereas actually the Galaxy now are negotiating at 6 to 10 million, because they know that actually we could probably sell them for 15 to 20 million to Europe. But if we give Boca Juniors 20 million, Galaxy ain't going to sell any more than 20 million. No way. So they're being a bit more smart about their transfers now, and actually being a bit more bullish. Just actually, we're not going to be pushed around anymore regards to these ridiculous transfer fees that you're thinking that we're going to accept. 2.5 million is like ridiculous.
We were actually talking about that earlier in the podcast, because we got Kevin Farewell of Wolves, which also actually Scott's European team, weirdly enough, like when two worlds collide.
I am from Wolverhampton. I've been a season ticket holder for years, and then that was a very strange sort of merging of two worlds, which I appreciated.
Yeah. And he's now a head of sports. He basically, so Dennis Hamlet became our sporting director, whatever called, was it 2017 for Jesse Marks. He basically pushed Ali Curtis out. Wasn't officially, not officially, but he basically got him sacked. It was a power struggle, and he won. And it worked. When Jesse Marks was out of the club, it worked because Dennis Hamlet gets there as a figure, because whatever Jesse did, he ruled the roost. And it went. But when he left, it wasn't all Dennis's fault, but Chris Armitz, who we made our opinion clear on what we think about him as a coach from this podcast, and them two were not good together. Obviously, we had all this Kaku debate. Luckily, did do well, but you could tell we got a proper head of sport now, because obviously we signed Frankie Amaya from Cincinnati, which is an amazing capture. We've actually managed to get him, signed him to a new 3-year contract, but it won't take charge of next year. So we're still paying. The cap impact is only this year's salary from the existing contract. Like, I know for a fact, if it were done under Dennis Hamlet, that would not have happened, because I don't think Dennis Hamlet knew the MLS rules at all. Am I being unfair, Scott?
No, I don't think so. I think the way that the club's being run this year, I mean, we are not used to exciting transfer windows here. I am a pained Wolves and New York Red Bull fan who spend every single transfer window in great hope, and then end up being very, very upset when we end up putting a shoestring squad together and playing some 15-year-old who's never played a minute of pro football. But I think what we're doing now, the club's been running a really, really good way, and I think those talent, Fabio we brought in on a 2-month loan. He's in until June. He's got 2 months. We've got a buy clause on him. I think it's about £200,000. We've got him for 2 months. It's basically show your shit, show us that you can go and do it, and then we'll pay the money out. He's a player that from 2 performances, I think we could go and then make £3, £4, £5 million off if he continues to play the way he's playing.
Yeah.
It looks like it's going the right way in that sense.
Yeah.
Well, right now, just a bit about you now, really. Obviously, us UK MLS fans, we like to sort of get together and become mates and learn more about one another. But as you know, I'm from Wolverhampton, and that's my sort of background. I got into Red Bulls through Football Manager, funnily enough, and we've discussed that in the past. But how about yourself? How did you get into not only MLS but LA Galaxy in particular?
Oh man, so like I had probably no surprise. I think I'll be wondering who doesn't have a man crush on like David Beckham. But when I was following him through Real Madrid, and obviously when he left Real Madrid, he went to the Galaxy, and so I followed him there. Albeit probably the first season, I didn't watch too much of it because I was like, Sky Sports barely covered the game or anything like that. But as the momentum builds, there was more games being shown, so I was watching more and more of it, and then it just carried on growing from there. So instead of just watching the Galaxy, I moved on to the Red Bulls because I loved Thierry Henry that was there, and they had Rafael Marquez. It was like brilliant, and obviously DPs back then were very limited. And then I just started watching most of the games, and then Portland came in, Toronto, Whitecaps, and I love. Everyone's got a different theme and all that to their stadiums. And so my love since then has grown. I've probably been watching it 10 years strong now. Probably my only time it's wavered was probably last year, just because this was horrendous for the Galaxy and just no fans. It's just not, it ain't pleasing on the eye.
What Sam MLS betted up was we held a tournament at Walt Disney World. Now, what Sam Demolet's bet last year, we had a Mickey Mouse Cup at the home of Mickey Mouse. Nothing could sum the 2020 MLS season up quite like that competition.
100%. And we were horrendous in that as well. I watched 2 games of it, and we got knocked out. And I was like, nah, no more. And that pretty much snowballed into the rest of the season. I was like, I can't watch most of this. But yeah, ever since then, I try my best to go to games. I think I went to a game. Robbie Keane had a testimonial in Ireland where the Galaxy went over, so I went there and watched Shamrock Rovers versus the Galaxy. And I've been fortunate enough to go to LA and watch the British invasion, Lampard and Gerrard, albeit Lampard never played. And then I went to San Francisco, and it was just pure coincidence. LA Galaxy were taking on San Francisco. So I watched that game, but LA never win at San Fran, so we lost that match. And then I was fortunate. I always, if I go on holiday, I try and see if I can get a game in or around. So when I went to Seattle, it was Seattle versus LA Galaxy. And that was back when we were leaking goals for fun, and we lost that game as well. But albeit great experiences. I think I was fortunate enough to go to Portland, and I watched a game in Portland as well, and that was unbelievable as well.
Been to
That was
Red
a
Bull
great
Arena?
experience. No, do you know, when I went to New York, it was my first ever time I went abroad. Like I went with my other half. It's the first time I ever went abroad with her, and I was like, "Where is this stadium?" When I found out it was in Jersey, and I was like, "How the hell do I get the jersey from here?" And it was all a little bit too far.
Trust me, it's not easy. I know that from experience. It's an art taker journey. I had to go there. I went there 2019 for the DC game, and I picked the worst game I could possibly choose. It was dreadful. It was an awful game.
A hard watch.
It's just so bad. It was just it just sums up our 2019 season really. And there was a nice experience, but it is an Arthur to get to. And you might not know this, but I got a super love for Dustin McCarthy.
Oh, nice.
I love
here
that.
he goes again.
I love Dustin McCarthy.
Mate, we've got 5 minutes for going on. I'm not having this anymore.
I love Dustin McCarthy so much. And I penciled in, obviously it is dependent on COVID and all that sort of stuff, but I penciled in when our final game at Nashville to go I want to
Right.
see Jack McCarthy play, but obviously we don't know what the world will be in November. We can't plan that far ahead at the moment with the world at
Yeah.
current state. But hopefully one day we can be back over in America. One day
Well,
when boys
if
decide we can.
if you can do it, I mean, my aim is to try and get down to Miami to watch Inter Miami, and then maybe get up to Atlanta because I need to go to see the Mercedes-Benz. I mean, that stadium looks phenomenal. Albeit, I don't think they can pack it out anymore. Their first 2 seasons when they had Marquez and Almiron, and they were playing like champagne football, they packed that stadium out. But
I think
I don't
also
think they're doing it right now.
I think another reason, I think that's typical MLS. You look at teams like our blue neighbours, NYCFC, at the Yankee Stadium. The first couple of seasons they were packing that out, and now when they can play there, it's not very often. So I like to share our stadium, which is actually in New Jersey. Despite them keep going about how they team to play in New York, we won't get into that.
I know.
But I don't pack that anymore. I think it's just MLS when they first come in to the league, people want to go down there. But at the end of the day, the sad reality is you can never compete with European football in America. That's just the sad reality of it. And
no, exactly. And like, you know, like the play on the field is sometimes can be a hard watch, can't it? So like the product don't sometimes look great on TV, but I love the atmosphere as well. So if it's a packed crowd anywhere, the atmosphere is great. You know, the one in Minnesota, like their atmosphere and their new stadium is phenomenal. Orlando as well, so they do great. But my question is to you guys, like, you know, where the stadium's situated in Jersey now, if they had a time machine, do you think they would put that stadium there?
yes.
You still think they would have the Red Bull Arena there?
Purely for, I mean, look at NYC. They're not going to get a stadium for another 5-6 years.
Oh, and
it's just not. It's
not possible
to get a stadium in New York. It's not viable, and it's difficult. No, I'd rather us be sat out the way in Harrison and be quite happy there than have to faff about waiting for a stadium, be playing in football stadiums for the next couple of years. I don't fancy that.
I think the problem is development around the stadium has not gone as quickly as the Red Bull thought it would. I think that the development of this area was meant to be pretty much done by now. That's the main problem, because when all this development was meant to be done, all these new flats, but it was basically meant to be like a new brand new like village, and it was going to have all these transport links. But obviously, because the development area is so far behind still, the links aren't great, and it is a distance out. But like Scott said, New York City would never ever build in a city. I can go on about it as much as I want. But when teams like the Jets and the Giants can't build in a city, what a chance has MLS got? If NFL can't build in a city, MLS have got no chance.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's actually
sorry, mate.
145 left.
Yeah, we're running short. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really, really do appreciate it. Where can people find you on Twitter?
So Egan88UK, you can find me there.
Yeah, we'll put it in the link as well.
We look forward to catching up and having a chat when we meet you in the MLS Cup final.
There's always hope.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you again. Cheers, Luke. And next up, obviously, on Saturday is Chicago. We're looking forward to that one. There'll be a match preview out at some point before then. But until then, we will catch you when we do. Check us out as per usual on the Twitter, on the Facebook, on the website, on the podcast. We're all over the place. Have a listen and get involved. Right. From me, Scott, from Luke, from Ronnie, and from Chris. We'll see you later. Bye all.